going to go for it.
Yeah, just give it a second so we can... So this time last week, last weekend, we did our first full day freeform LARP, live action roleplay. It was in Fishguard in West Wales, which was very nice to go back to because we had our honeymoon there 6 and some months, 5 years, 6 years?
6 years.
6 years and a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
3. Yeah, I'm good at this. Should we start again?
Yeah.
Hi, so last weekend we did our first full day freeform LARP, live action roleplay. It was in Fishguard, West Wales, which was nice to go back to because it's where we had our honeymoon just over 6 years ago.
It's a classic romantic destination. Classic.
Absolutely. We knew it was going to take quite a while to travel there, so we were fortunate enough to be able to take the day off, which made the journey very, very easy.
It was lush.
It takes about 3 hours door to door, but we gave ourselves more time. We went up to Penrokeshire Burial Chamber, had a picnic, and we had a very clear run, didn't get caught in traffic
We
at
were
all.
pre-warned by people that live in Wales that you have to be past Newport by 2 p.m.
By 2 p.m. at the latest, or it will take forever, which unfortunately other people found out.
But, you know, we were coming from Bristol, so it's a lot easier for
Yeah,
us.
absolutely.
It was brilliant. It was lush. It was so nice. Such a nice day.
We even got to paddle in the sea.
It was real sunny. It was gorgeous.
It all took place at a hotel, and it was called Fishguard Bay Hotel, although it's technically in Goodwick, not Fishguard. It was £89 for room and breakfast for 2 nights for the both of us, which is very good value.
Very good value.
I think, from what I can gather, you could get lucky or unlucky with the room.
Yeah, our room wasn't amazing, but it was fine. It was past, you know, the bathroom was fine, everything was fine. We weren't in there an awful lot, so.
But where some people had a lovely sea view, we had a lovely view of the back of other rooms, but that's the way it goes.
It was fine. Wasn't really bothered. It was warm. The only thing was it was really warm in the room, which, given that it was a warm weekend, was a bit like,
yeah.
But the hotel in general was pretty hot, I think. It was a bit overheated. No idea why. The hotel's kind of fancy from a distance. As you get in, it's still pretty nice. It's a bit dated, but you know, it would be expensive to do it up.
Because the Friday evening that we arrived, a local historian gave a talk about the history of the area, which included the hotel, and it was built as part of a big plan to make Fishguard the port for the Atlantic. And I described it afterwards as a kind of memorial to a failed enterprise.
But it was nice. It was nice, actually. You should go there. It was lovely.
Absolutely.
The view is outstanding.
And if, like us, you're pagan or into your ancient history, there are lots of burial chambers and things all around that area.
Shitloads.
The LARP we'd signed up to play was called An Evening Tide, a Celtic romance. It was set in Fishguard Bay and being at, or even in the hotel itself, and that really was quite important for how it all fitted together.
Yeah, it was lovely to be in the right place setting. It gives a real sense of, as hippie pagans for us as well, you're like, oh, you know, it gives a sense of the land around and the landscape and having the sea just there. Gorgeous. Gorgeous.
Gorgeous. And it was a stunning day, which helped as well in many ways. So
yeah, it was beautiful.
Maybe we could get outside a bit. So we sent our characters in advance. I was Hugh Morgan, local madman, stroke leader, stroke bard, stroke itinerant preacher, stroke everything really.
And I was Mordegon, an actual historical figure, Irish nationalist activist, suffragette, had a real interesting history and was in fact Yeats's muse. That was slightly my downfall, being a real historical figure, because I think I got into the fact of her and couldn't quite remove myself from the actual real human. I got really tied up with like not wanting to disgrace her memory, which I think again is possibly a hazard of being a pagan who's into like ancestors.
Whereas I was lucky enough that Hugh Morgan wasn't a real person. It was a brilliant character. I'm so pleased I got that character. I wish I'd done more with it, but there's reasons I didn't, which we'll come into later.
He was cracking. He was great.
Got to get my hair out. Always fun. The game itself took part in 3 sessions. There was a morning, an afternoon and an evening session. It started about 10:30 in the morning in the end because traffic had delayed people getting there, so a bit more time in the morning to get ready, and finished probably about 10 p.m. in the end.
Yeah, I think so.
With hour breaks in between each session, roughly, hour and a half.
About 2 hours for lunch
Yeah.
and dinner.
I found the first session tricky in some ways because I hadn't had the chance to spot who every person was. So unfortunately I hadn't nailed down who was being the 2 most important people to my character. So for the first 5-10 minutes I was just sort of standing around looking magnificent as I do, and but then luckily the person playing my granddaughter came and spoke to me, and from there it was fine.
I found it really difficult, to be honest. Do you know what? I didn't know how it was supposed to work. I didn't know. This is, I probably should have done more research into how freeforms work. I just literally didn't know if I wanted to do something, I should find a GM and do the thing. I just didn't know, and I was a bit lost. And to be honest, I find it really difficult to ask for help, like in all circumstances in my life. And when I think back to when I first started tabletop gaming, I used to sometimes get very, very withdrawn and very insular and not do a lot because I was just a bit sort of afraid. And I did spend a good amount of time, to be honest, like that, the freeform. That wasn't the fault of anyone there. I would just say that's just me. In a new situation, I sometimes freeze up and go, oh no, I can't do it, I don't understand. Also, I'm not great at pursuing goals. I'm much better at just inhabiting a character and just having a bit of fun with it. And have been surrounded by people pursuing goals. I was a bit like, fuck are you all doing? Which, again, just teething problems for me in a new genre of game.
What did affect me in the afternoon was I had a full-blown panic attack. I suffer from chronic depression. Fact of my life. 99.999% of the time I'm perfectly on top of it and dealing with it. Unfortunately, in the afternoon I had a full-blown panic attack and had to drop out for a bit. That was, I have to say, that was nothing to do with the character I was given, the game, or any of the actions or people in the game. Partly it was so very, very hot, and that's always been a bit of a trigger for me, and there's all sorts of rubbish going on at work where 50% of the people I work with are about to lose their jobs, so it's just put me in a less solid place. So that meant I didn't get to give my planned enthralling speech to the inquest in the afternoon. I've been looking forward to that, but actually Hugh Morgan not being at the inquest added to the story, so it all worked out well. I just wish I'd had that opportunity.
It was pretty interesting. I mean, I was in the jury and I just knew that he had left, and I was like, was that an in-character thing? Fair enough. And we're all deliberating and the GM comes up and goes, just so you know, Hugh Morgan hasn't run away. The player is ill. And I'm like, that. Do I have to stay and deliberate? Because I really feel like I need to go and check on Ben.
I came back in and played on. It didn't ruin the game for me, and I don't think it spoiled it for anyone.
No, absolutely. In fact, it was dramatically interesting, so that was good.
But that wouldn't normally happen. So if you're ever casting me, please don't refrain from giving me those sort of characters. I love those sort of characters. It would probably never happen again. So it's just one of those things.
Particular circumstances. The fact that I was freaking out probably didn't help.
Overall, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I probably enjoyed it more than you.
I did really enjoy it. I met some really fantastic people, and by the end of the evening session, I was getting into it. It just took me that long to relax, and to be honest, a couple of glasses of wine didn't hurt because it just removes all the filters I have going. But what if you do the thing and then everybody hates you and they stab you? Because these are the sort of things I have going around in my head, hence the freezing up. But yeah, in the end I really enjoyed it, and I really appreciated meeting all the people.
Yeah.
And the only thing I came away with regret-wise was I wish I'd done it better.
Yeah.
So, I could have done a better thing here, thinking back to conversations, opportunities, and going, that's what I should have fucking done. Prat.
Hindsight 2020 and all that. I've done the same thing, and I had a wonderful time. Again, met some lovely people. Loads of people added on Facebook now, which is cool. But yes, as a result, we will be going to Consequences this year.
Woo-hoo!
No, we will.
Well, we
paid,
paid.
so we better be.
We paid.
So hopefully we'll see people
Consequences,
there.
people, email us.
Hopefully we'll see some of you there. And hopefully we'll be able to do another review of another freeform sometime, because we will definitely do them more now.
And I definitely won't be anxious, because that's definitely not a thing I do all the time.
Bye.
Right, do you think that's made a video?
Should we have a quick look at it?
Yeah, let's.